A viewer by the name of Altier Stark wanted me to do this, so let me set it up. This person has a friend in Japan who he's really knowledgeable on animation, and he has been in contact with one of the people that are in charge of the Naruto Shippuden anime. Now, I can't disclose this person's information for personal reasons and because he doesn't want to get spammed, but basically what they're trying to do is gather suggestions to send to this person who's in charge of the Naruto Shippuden anime to better the quality of the Naruto versus Sasuke final fight in the anime. Now, you guys can choose to believe this or not, I don't really care, but what we do know is that we're going back into canon on May 28th, so the deadline for storyboarding and animating the fight is approaching quickly. These people have already gathered like a ton of suggestions from different fans already, so I'm just adding my own to the mix, and if you would like to leave your own, just leave a comment. Basically, the main suggestions that they've gathered already are the following, and I'm reading this. He says they want the battle to be at least 3 episodes, have amazing animation. Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody wants shitty animation on this. And be extended significantly, especially the taijutsu portion. Yeah, I agree with this. Just to start off with the technicalities, Naruto vs. Sasuke Part 2 is actually shorter in chapter length than the fight in Part 1. So that right there just tells you that there's significant room for, expansion on the anime. Now, there's a bunch of parallels and throwbacks between the Part 1 fight with this final fight. Just look at the way that it ends, Chidori versus Rasengan. And by the way, this is just a basic thing. The main driving force behind any fight is the ideological clash that it represents between its characters. So with that in mind, I felt like the conflict was a little bit stronger in Part 1. Just the way that Naruto was talking, like, okay, fine, if you don't want to hear me out, then I'm going to break every bone in your body, I'm going to drag you back. And in Part 2, it's like, yes, it's Naruto versus Sasuke because Sasuke wants to become this evil dictator, but at the same time, in the back of my mind, it's like, you guys were fighting together against Kaguya. So that kind of lessened it, but there's nothing really, you can't really do anything about that. That's just part of the way the story was executed. But what you can do, and this is something that really made the first fight, awesome for me, is really take care of those facial expressions for both Naruto and Sasuke. If you want Sasuke to look menacing and full of contempt and apathy, just really show that with his facial expressions. The same with Naruto. Naruto, for the most part, in these fights, he looks either angry or hurt that he's fighting his best friend. There's a part, actually, when they clash, and, the explosion just generates, it's so big that the water starts coming down like rain. I think that's even a pause moment in the manga. And I'm not talking about a bullshit internal monologue pause. No, you don't need to have that. There's awesomeness in just silence and just being just staring we're gonna go at it. This is it, motherfucker. We all know that an essential part of Naruto's arsenal is the use of shadow clone jutsus. And I have to say, after reading those chapters of the final fight in the manga, I felt shadow clone jutsu was underused. And don't get me wrong, it is used. You have even a Kyuubi chakra cloning itself and shit. The way the final fight starts in the manga is that I think it goes big, it gets big really, really fast. Okay, whereas in Part 1, it was a build-up, slow build-up, and I think a lot of it has to do where you use taijutsu in the fight. So for example, in the final fight, Kishimoto saved the punches for the end. So the whole thing goes into Street Fighter mode at the end, whereas in the beginning, you have some hits in the beginning and then throughout the fight. So it's not just one thing all the time. But I do have to say that the reason why there's a lot of hand-to-hand combat in Part 1 is because their abilities, their powers, their jutsus, they weren't at such a big scale as they are now. And that's understandable because if you learn how to make these jutsus that can destroy things at a much bigger scale, you would be foolish to just downgrade yourself for a fist fight initially. So that kind of makes sense. I'm just saying this. My favorite part of the Part 1 fight is when Naruto starts beating the shit. There's some shadow clones coming out of the water like penguins and shit. And there's one part where he hits Sasuke in the face, and Sasuke's face bends inward like he's made out of rubber, like he's Luffy. And then Naruto just grabs him like he's a sack of potatoes and he's just going ham. My point here is that if you can find the balance, a way to just, even out the Street Fighter with the fucking Optimus Prime, Sasuke, Michael Bay type of explosions, that is awesome. That being said, though, I really wanted to see Sasuke use Kirin against Naruto in this fight. And we didn't get that in the manga, and I think it's because in order for him to use Kirin, he has to build up heat around him. Like, there was Amaterasu, and then he also threw those, remember those lion fire style fucking fireballs that he threw into the air so that, you know, he could create like thunderclouds and shit so that he could activate Kirin. Maybe that's something they could, I mean, that's maybe asking a little bit too much, but that's something that I personally would have wanted. Another thing is that I'm a sucker for aerial fights, like fights that take place in the sky. And because we knew that one of the upgrades that Naruto got was the ability to fly, I was kind of expecting to be more of like this type of action. And, you know, Naruto can make his Kyuubi cloak fly, but it's too big. So if you could just have that as well, but then have Naruto and Sasuke, see, the problem with Sasuke is that he can only fly with his Susanoo that has wings. So that's something that I suggested in my predictions video, that if he could be able to condense his Susanoo and just have his wings, like a flying suit of armor pretty much, instead of having like this gigantic thing. And then Naruto and him can just go, and you could follow Naruto as he flies. But I don't know, that may be like the comic book portion of my brain talking. Like, I don't want some Man of Steel shit, but you know, just a couple of hits here and there. Also, if you're going to do taijutsu, if you're going to extend it, don't keep it all in the same place. And yes, I know that the scene should be anchored at the Valley of the End because of the emotional and historic value that that place has for the story. But you could always come back to it. Like, you know, I'm not saying like you fight somewhere else. You know, just like have Naruto punch Sasuke, have this fucker fly off, and then come back or something. There's a forest nearby. You can have them fight there, and then Naruto's Rasen Shuriken could be like fucking, you know, just chopping off trees. I know this can't really happen, but Sasuke using a sword and then Naruto using a kunai, I think that'd be pretty cool, just because I like the clash of metal. Okay, I think I'm getting a little bit too excited, so I'm going to stop this right now. Leave your comments, ask suggestions for a chance to be considered. One final thing is that when the final attack lands, Sasuke is coming down on Naruto with Chidori, and Naruto is jumping up with Rasengan. So Sasuke technically has the fall on Naruto because he's coming in with gravity, which means that because both of them lost their arms and it was quote-unquote like a draw, no, Naruto needed to have more strength than Sasuke in that moment because Naruto's the one going up, like he's the one fighting gravity to try and beat Sasuke. So if you can make that a little bit more clear that it was Naruto, the one who was actually successful, that'd be cool. I'm going to leave you a link in the description of chapter 695. It's a fan animation, Naruto versus Sasuke, so you can kind of get your feet wet and like know what to expect. I think this fan animation is awesome. It looks great. Even the voice acting sounds good. Personally, I think that Naruto sounds better in this fan animation than he does in the English dub. So check that out. Like the video if you did. I appreciate that. Subscribe to my channel. You know what to do. Comment. Thanks, guys. Catch you guys later.